So sometimes it's not about just the cost of the rent.
Yeah.
Ask yourself why
Why
no
is
one is taking
yeah.
it. So you get to a house, about 5 rooms are the rent is so cool. And like, why is no one taking it?
Yeah.
There are a lot of questions to ask. Don't just jump because the rent is cool.
Cool.
Look at the issues of security, the issues of flooding. Sometimes there may even be internal problems in the house for which no one is even taking it.
In Accra, we say the right time to buy a land is in the rainy season.
Because there's one thing I've come to realize. The fact that someone is in need does not mean he's your customer.
Yeah.
He may not necessarily be the right person for you.
That's true.
Because trust me, despite everything, it's not a charity we are running. We're running a business. In as much as we are solving a problem, it's a business we are running.
Yeah.
And these days with Momo, it's very easy to track. But if you are not even paying your Momo loan, is it rent that you will pay?
Yeah, you don't pay
understand?
Momo loan.
You are not paying a Momo
400.
loan. Is it that 300 or 400 you're not paying? So that one, you are building a character there. And people do this and then they just take it for granted. People say, I'll throw the SIM away and
buy a new one.
So I think we should build a digital character for people. Selecting a team is very difficult. Having the right team to work with makes things fun. Selecting a team can be very difficult.
I mean, for the two of us, we've been in the same space, in the same building, and for some reason, it looks like we're almost running the same kind of business on the side. And it's amazing hearing the stories that you've told me today about what you do and the sort of effort you need to put in to make sure that you weave out the weeds so you don't get them entangled with the work that you do. Before we go into what you do, who is Raymond Williams Laari? Who would you say you are, and how did you get into the space?
All right. So Williams Laari is a gentleman who is very focused on doing something great and then making an impact. So let me say, I basically came to the university in 2009 in Accra.
Okay.
And after school, I met very interesting people who were somewhere running their own businesses.
Okay.
Some were doing jobs, and I was like, I would like to do some of the things these guys are doing. And my first job after national service was actually sales.
Okay.
So that is where I actually built a lot of skill, a lot of things that I do. Because sales, trust me, can be very difficult. And it can also be interesting as well.
That's true.
When you do the right things and when you get things right and the clients are coming in. Yes, so that is where I built all this. So I see myself basically as someone who wants to make impact and do what not just makes me happy, but what would actually be fulfilling in the end as well. Yes.
I know you because of Renmo, and I want to know how the Renmo story started, because rent is a big issue. There are like stories of people being due, people pretending as landlords, properties not belonging to them. Our rent issues and the housing deficit in Ghana is over 1 million housing units. So how did that story start? How did you get into the Renmo story?
Let me share this story today. So I went for a friend's wedding in 2018. I was part of his team of groomsmen.
Okay.
And then one of the groomsmen called Patrick Pearson Pra, who is the current CEO and also founder. I'm a co-founder as well.
Okay.
We met there. We built strong acquaintance. We're in touch. And then somewhere 2020, he got in touch with this great idea.
Okay.
That this is what he's thought about for a while. Registered a company. He wants us to look at it. Then in 2021, we spoke again and then we kickstarted this. Now, we realized that when you look largely at the real estate sector in Ghana, as you've said, we have a housing deficit of about 2 million actually.
2 million?
Yes, a 2 million housing deficit. Yeah. So we had a discussion, looked at the entire industry, and we came out to solve 3 key issues. One, which was to reduce the burden people have when they have to raise rent advance payments. That's the very first one. Then the next one was to give people the opportunity to live in decent homes. Sometimes people find a home, the house is so beautiful, but because they have to pay rent advance, they can't live in it.
Pay everything at the
They just have to settle for anything.
Yeah.
Substandard homes and all that. And the third one was to reduce the commuting time people actually spend to go to work. So instead of living at a place like Kaswa and then going to work at Tema, you instead, yes.
People find good homes. The only challenge is that they can't afford to pay everything at a go. So landlords are usually asking, if you are lucky, you find a landlord who wants a 1 year rent.
Yes.
If you're not lucky, you're going to get someone who wants 2 years. If it's a commercial property, you are in trouble. You are going to pay more than 2 years, between 3 to 5 years.
That is
so
true.
Then that became a problem that you had identified.
Yes.
Now, how did you connect the dots? So what are you doing? Are you just providing the money, or what are you guys really doing?
All right. So one, we want to bring about a cultural change where we get to the point landlords get to know that there are some people who can actually pay us our money on monthly basis. So we want to drive that cultural change. That is a long-term thing. So in the interim, what we do is we identify people who are willing and able to pay rent on monthly basis. Sometimes people come and go like, oh, I thought you are here to help poor people. When you assess the person, it doesn't qualify. You go like, oh no, our company is not here for rich people. Neither are we here for the poor. We are here for people who want to rent and pay on monthly basis, or people who want to have flexible payment options to do certain things, and then they can qualify for these services and make these payments as well. So at Renmo, what we do is we access you. When we assess you and then you qualify for these services, then we move on to the next thing, which is we provide the financing to either your landlord, or if you are going on for a household item, we pay the supplier and then you get to pick it up and pay on monthly basis based on the terms that we actually agree on. So this is largely what we do at Renmo.
All right. So the landlords, how are the landlords coming in? Is it a partnership you have with them? Is it that you find a property? When you find a property, then the conversation starts with the landlord. How have you handled that since you started in 2021?
All right. So it comes in two ways. So clients have the opportunity to find a place of their choice, and then we still pay for it. Then we have some landlords, as a result of the good relationship we've built with them over the years, they go like, I trust Renmo to pay me my rent advance. So as soon as they have an empty space in their property, they quickly get in touch with us. And then we advertise that to our clients, and then they go in to take it. And then we help finance the rent advance. Right. Yes.
Now, when I go back to the story, I see how just being available to be a groomsman or be part of someone's team of groomsmen at a wedding, strike a conversation. Through that, a company was founded, you're a co-founder, and you are here. And I also recall you saying that you moved to Accra for the university. Means that secondary school, primary wasn't in Accra.
Yes.
And you moved into sales. And let me tell you, one of the biggest things that is difficult to do is to find people who are willing to do sales, because everybody thinks that sales is like difficult. Yeah, everybody thinks sales, but sales opens doors, like builds your confidence. Yeah. How did that initial conversation start to say, okay, I can trust you enough that even when I'm not in the country, we can still do business together?
Well, I think sometimes how you carry yourself matters. I always say sometimes you may be ready in ability, but not in character.
Ready in ability, not in character. Explain.
Yes. All right. So what I mean is, irrespective of the skills you have to do something, if you don't have the right character, you can never sustain it, and in the end, you'll be exposed. So being truthful in whatever you do is key. Showing the right attitude, being consistent with that attitude also matters. And that actually is the best CV that you can have. Having the right character, for me, is the best thing that you can have. And I think that is what has maintained the relationship between myself and my other founder. And yes, that has been what we've done.
I'm impressed. And I'm saying I'm impressed because the biggest challenge for me on this continent is not raising capital to start business. I always say that there are people who have the money out there that are willing to bring the money here to Ghana to invest. The challenge is who to run with that money and make sure that whatever benefits is due them, they receive it at the end of the period that they've set to invest their money for. So to have someone, you do it, like you have this business running with some, because in this business that you're running, it's capital.
That's true.
Basically, you are giving out money.
That's true.
And for me to trust that, yeah, I'm not in Ghana, but you can run with the money, or we can put money together, run and make something out of it, it's something that I admire. What has worked for the two of you since the partnership started?
Well, I think what has worked for us has been being truthful to ourselves, and then having a fair understanding of the vision, having a clear understanding of exactly where we are going as well, and then believing in it. Because I always say this, in sales, if you give me a product and I don't believe in it, I will never sell it.
You will not even take the product.
No, I will not even take the product.
You will not even take it up first. Yeah.
So I bought into the vision. And I was like, no, this is something I believe so much in. This is something that is going to impact a lot of lives. And growing up, we have all lived in various places, and we've seen the challenges people have gone through. We have gone through challenges ourselves. So I was like, no, this is something that I believe in. This is something that I believe it's solving a national issue. So the belief was there. We being committed to the cause, irrespective of whatever. I remember when at a point when we were drafting the vision, we told ourselves that, look, we are never going to deviate. Let's stick to what we are doing and then make a national impact. Then we can move on elsewhere to other places. Yes.
I know when we're starting businesses, we usually will have your projections for the year. Like the business on paper looks like perfect. We do projections as though all the money is going to come in like month one, this amount to come in, expenses will be this will be that. You everything looks very perfect in the Excel when you do your spreadsheet. But year one has always proven to be like the learning. Like it's a phase where you learn a lot of lessons. You tweak your systems. You build character to help you drive forward. How was the first year like for Renmo?
Our first year was very interesting. It was a learning phase. We encountered very interesting challenges. We made some interesting mistakes as well. And that really taught us to build processes, because the mistakes we made definitely cost us some way, but we learned from it and then we're able to bounce back. Because I realized that irrespective of whatever you are doing in building a business, it's not just about looking for customers, but having the right processes in place is what will sustain you.
Yeah.
So I always say that revenue may look interesting, but collection is what grows the business.
Revenue may look interesting, but collection
is what grows the
being
business.
able to collect that money.
Exactly.
That's what grows the business. And exactly. I mean, we'll term that as cash flow. How the money comes in is what grows the business, because without that, it makes it difficult.
Exactly.
You also mentioned that you built a system. How was it that year one you didn't envisage what systems you needed to put in place, or the systems were there but they were not fit for purpose, or you were still learning the business, and it was more like a rolling stone. As you moved, you learned more lessons and tightened a system that you had already developed on paper?
So it was more like a rolling stone as we moved on, because sometimes when you sit down, you have a business idea. You are so interested in the idea that you feel what I'm putting in place is the right thing, but the customer may be seeing something different. That is the thing. The customer may be seeing it from a completely different angle. How you even approach it, how you communicate even to your clients, the messages you send to them. It will amaze you to know that you send an SMS to someone, you think it's very clear, but the way the person understands it is completely different from how a different client even understands it, and even the expectation you had. So how you communicate is very key.
Right.
So we actually started a business. We had our own intentions, which we put in place. But after doing it for a while, I realized that no, this and that had to change. So we're able to adjust a lot of things to be able to make the processes work right. Because as you said, our business is capital, and then it's capital you are giving out. So managing the risks is key. What we do in our application process is very important. What the client also gives back as feedback is important. Who you have as landlord is important. The systems in place for repayment is also important as well. And in the end, your operational cost, the internal team you have, is also very important. And I must say that selecting a team is very difficult. Having the right team to work with makes things fun. Selecting a team can be very, very difficult.
Unless in Ghana, getting the right team to work with, I think solves like 50% of the problem.
I agree.
And then capital. But I always feel that when you have the system in place and everybody can see that, if you put in 20K, we know that at the end of the month, the interest that comes in is 50K. Or it's 5K.
Yeah.
Then we all know that 25% interest on every 20K. So once you have that system in place, it's easy to communicate that to anybody and say, okay, out of every 5K we make, we can give you maybe 1K.
Yeah.
So you know that you can easily, but having a team that drives, that believes in the vision and can carry it even without you, is what matters. You talk about team and how selecting is difficult. How do you build a team? If you look at your 3 years or 5 years of running, the people you started with, are you still running with everybody? Or some had to move on to other places, but what have you learned over the 5 years?
All right. So I realized that you need some people at every point of your journey. But it's interesting to say that most of the people we started with are still with us.
Great.
There are a few who dropped off.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may need one person at a certain part of your journey, but at a point the person may have to move on. People may transition. And at a point you may just have to part ways with some others as well. So yes, and just to go back to a question you asked earlier on the projection stuff, I think there was something I wanted to mention there.
Right.
It's interesting how we can make very interesting projections around things, but when the reality sets in, you realize that no, these projections are not as expected.
Yeah.
And I always use this scenario to back that up. I've never seen a business plan that said that in the end, we are not going to make profits Every business plan I've seen
right from year
projects
one.
that right from year one. We make this 20%, year 2, 50%, year 3, 120% profit and all that. But it doesn't always work that way. What is on the ground is completely different.
Yeah.
And giving money out is very easy. But when it's time to collect it, that is when you know that this is the real work that you have to do.
Time to collect. we'll talk about that later.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, the risk factor.
Okay.
You mentioned that you had a lot of risk issues in year one. How were you able to deal with it? And I'm asking because I also find myself in the finance space as part of the side hustles that I do, and it appears that our culture is one that people come with a sweet tongue when they would need the money. When it's time to pay, everything changes. So how have you dealt with the risk that comes with giving out money to people?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And this is like the core. The question you just asked is like the core of our business, because the service that we provide, a lot of people need it. Mm-hmm. But the question is, do they all qualify? The answer is obviously no. Okay. Some will definitely qualify for it. Some will not qualify for it.
Right.
Now, having customers is good, but having the right customers makes it better. And you just need to know that not everyone is your customer.
Yeah.
Because there's one thing I've come to realize: the fact that someone is in need does not mean he's your customer.
Yeah.
He may not necessarily be the right person for you.
That's true.
Because trust me, despite everything, it's not a charity we are running. We're running a business. In as much as we are solving a problem, it's a business we are running.
Yeah.
The business needs to run. Exactly. The business needs to run. Operational expenses are there. You need to pay salaries. You need to get things right. You need to work on your branding and all that. And you need to also involve tools that will even make your work easier and better as well. Yeah, so when it comes to the aspect of risk, the first year was very interesting. As I said, we made some mistakes as well. People tried some fraudulent applications and all that, which we saw, which was quite interesting. But the good thing is that we're able to overcome them, and now we're able to flag all these things, even in the processes before they get to a later stage.
Yeah. I mean, so the customers evolve, your business, even though it's still the same thing you're doing, I'm sure you've adapted to several changes, and now you are at a point where you say that even with just an application, you can easily sieve through and say, okay, these people are the right customers that we should work with. Would you say that is as a result of technology or a combination of experience and technology?
Well, it's a combination of both, because there are times that people apply. The tech side may think they qualify, but when you look further at what they have brought in, you realize that it doesn't exist as it is. So someone probably applies, he's a contract staff. His contract is just about ending, but he wants to rent. So on paper, tech wouldn't be able to tell that per the person's work, his contract is ending.
Okay.
So we actually combine both, and we use AI a lot in terms of our processes, whereby now people who even apply to use our services don't even have to go to our website. Just by chatting our bot on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Call the Renmo coach. You can go through a full application on WhatsApp.
On
Get feedback for every single thing you want, just via WhatsApp, and then you are done.
Wow.
So we actually combine both. We don't take experience out. We don't also rely only on tech. We mix both, and it works very well.
The prediction of default, I mean, would you say that you're at a point where you can easily look at this customer and say, we can predict default? How do you tackle that?
Yes. I must say we are at that point where we're able to easily identify that. Now, it's interesting that a customer's behavior may be right in the first year, but in the second year, it may not even be right. And sometimes even at the application process, it's interesting.
Okay.
The customers who stress you a lot in terms of application, it will amaze you to know that these are the customers who default more.
Whoa.
They stress you so much in terms of application, ask all questions, give all kinds of complaints. Now, after everything is solved, then you now have to virtually turn, and then when you meet them, you go like, oh, we are having this and that challenge. You go like, oh, but we have paid your rent. So you have to also commit yourself and pay. It's a business we are running. If you don't do your part, we cannot give other people the opportunity. So that is one thing I've gotten to notice. The fact that someone is in need, it's not everyone in need who may actually need your service. The person may need something else, but not necessarily your service.
True.
Yes,
that's true. The business side of things, where you know that this is where we are heading towards in the next 3 years, in the next right now it's even difficult to plan for 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah, initially having a 5-year strategic plan was a requirement, or even a 10-year. Like you had a vision.
Yeah.
But how do you see growth for you? And then, do we need government intervention to turn things around if you are going to grow?
All right. So the space is actually very big, I must say. This is a national issue that we are trying to solve, and we cannot do this alone.
Yeah.
We can do this with some help if it comes from governments. Yes, we can do this with some help.
Okay.
Because when you look at what we are doing, we started with just rent. As a result of growth, our clients wanted household items. We moved to it.
Okay.
Now, we are partnering with a lot of B2B. So
Okay.
let's say you have a company and then you have staff.
Sure.
They come to you for rent advance. Some even come for salary advance and all that. So we're like, why don't we enter this space? So people have schools, people own organizations. We partner with them. Then they just agree to deduct our source. When their staff need rent, they don't go to the heads or the heads of the organizations again. They just come to us, we pay.
Okay.
Then the details are given to the accounts office. At the end of the month, they deduct it directly. And that works so well. A lot of organizations are embracing this, and we are open to more organizations even coming on board. Now, in terms of the salary advance, we just introduced a new product called the earned wage access.
Okay.
So let's say you've worked in an organization for 15 days. The number of days you've worked, you get, if your organization is partnered with us, you get a chance to take money for that number of days that you have worked, even though the month hasn't ended
even though you
yet.
haven't paid yet.
Exactly. So that when the month ends, your organization just deducts for us. And then
it
that
goes.
is it. Yes.
So right now you are kind of moving away a bit from just a rent and then giving out some loans as well, basically salary advance. Is that supposed to be towards rent, or it's you can actually access that easy for something else?
Yes, so that can be access to do something else,
Okay.
which is the earned wage access. So
Okay.
you have worked for some number of days in a month, and probably you are hard up.
Yeah.
You have an emergency. So that is just to deal with this. But this is mostly with organizations that we have partnered with, which is the earned wage. So it's wage that you have actually earned, which is why we call it earned wage access.
Okay.
It's just based on the number of days that you have worked. So if you work for 3 days and you need it, you can have access to it once your organization is partnered with us.
Okay.
Yes.
The real estate space for Ghana is huge, and I mean, with all the flooding and everything going on,
yeah,
I'm wondering what you guys are, because in Accra we say the right time to buy a land is in the rainy season.
That's true.
And where I stay, the right time to rent is in the rainy season as well. Because have you had any of such issues where changing weather or has affected any of your business, and how have you handled that?
Yes, so we've had a few clients who have had certain issues before, but we're able to come in, engage the landlords, and then they also relocated.
Okay.
This has happened on a few occasions. So mostly when our officers are doing an inspection of the houses, they also give you an advice. Probably because we've been in this for a while. This area, we've been here before, it's flooded before, so we just give you an advice. Don't go here. But it's for us to advise. It's for you to decide to take.
Okay.
As they say, advice, opinion. You can just give your advice, but it's not required that someone takes it.
Yes.
So we've had these issues with a few clients. But the interesting thing is that the few that we have advised who took it, they thanked us later for taking those advice. Because there are some places that landlords are looking for places to rent. They are not getting anyone. Okay. The rent is cheap. Then ask yourself, why is nobody renting this room? So sometimes it's not about just the cost of the rent. Yeah. Ask yourself why no one is taking it. So you get to a house, about 5 rooms are there. The rent is so cool. And like, why is no one taking it? Yeah. There are a lot of questions to ask. Don't just jump because the rent is cool. Look at the issues of security, the issues of flooding. Sometimes there may even be internal problems in the house for which no one is even taking it. And based on the experience we have built, we give the client the opportunity to have this foreknowledge when the verification is being done, so that you don't make a wrong choice. When in the end, you'll be paying for it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, once you take the facility, you need to pay.
Exactly.
In terms of what you've been able to do with Renmo and all the experience you've gathered, would you say that when you go back in time, you are happy that you found yourself at that wedding? You are happy that you took on sales. You are happy that you decided to go and work in WA, because when you put everything together, it kind of gives you the worldview, the way you need to look at situations in the current business that you run.
Yes, I'll say that everything that has happened in my life, I even missed one. When I finished secondary school, I taught for a year before even going to the uni. Okay. All this, if I put all these experiences together and I look back, I realized that God was actually preparing me for a particular place. Right. And all these actually accounted for where I am today, because there is nothing I've done in the past that has not helped me in what I'm currently doing, in terms of my ability to network with people, my ability to engage people, whether young or old. And I've realized that your network, having a good network, is so important these days. And that I must say, everything I've done in life has actually journeyed on and then brought me this far. Yes.
So you manage an NGO at a very young age, and that basically means that you built leadership skills.
Yes.
And you brought that on bear what you're doing now, because if you are the co-founder, you're leading the team here, you need to bring on board those skills to get everybody running.
Yeah.
What are the few things you see you can pinpoint and say, okay, this I experienced here made it easy for me to do this at Renmo, or this I experienced here? Are there things you can easily point to?
All right. So let me just go back to when I was teaching. I was teaching little kids, P1, P2, P3. And that taught me a lot of patience. I always said, if you want to test the patience of a man, put him in the midst of kids. It was so interesting. These kids were so interesting. Sometimes they can just test your patience, but you have to rather be patient with them. That is one thing that actually taught me how to actually relate and deal with people.
Yeah.
Sales was interesting because that is where you get a lot of objections. So it builds your tenacity and it makes you strong. Then when it comes to the NGO, I went to work in an NGO in a rural area. Yeah. So you are dealing with a completely different set of people. I was working with people who were into weaving, people who were into clay works.
Yeah.
There. So I had to go into the communities, how you interact with them. Sometimes someone gives you water in a dirty calabash, but you have to drink it. You understand? Yeah. Because you want to relate to the person and all that. And you're like, well, so all these things built us up. So when people have issues, you're able to put yourself in their shoe and then empathize with them and also move on. So I think all these experiences really helped. And it's actually helped. We are trying our best. No one can say he's gotten it right when it comes to leadership, because we learn daily.
Yes. We learn daily.
Yes.
And in Ghana, they say the biggest room that we all have is a room for improvement.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we can never say never.
Yeah.
I mean, as we close the conversation, where do you see Renmo? I think I asked whether you think you want to do on your own properties, so that's more like a long term. Are you going to, if there's enough capital to give out, if there's enough money to sell as loans, will it just be towards rentals or the other thing that you're looking into going?
All right. So Renmo, our vision is basically to power flexible payments.
Okay.
So anything that has to do with flexible payment, giving people flexibility when it comes to payments. So we want to build that trust in the system.
Okay.
Get a proper record of people that people can trust. Okay. So at a point, we should be able to have that catalog where a landlord could like, oh, I want to give people the opportunity to rent and to rent monthly in my home.
Okay.
Renmo, which client can you recommend for me?
Okay.
We want to get to that point. So we show that, in as much as there may be some few bad people, there are also a lot of good people who can help in this. So aside the rental space, as I mentioned, we do give people the opportunity to buy household items as well. Then the earned wage access. So basically, anything around flexible payment options is what we are moving towards, to give people that flexibility, so that people don't move away from that point of just dreaming of things and then make it reality. Because when you want a phone, the phone costs so, but you have the opportunity to pay within 12 months.
And if you can pay in 12 months, you can actually own it.
Exactly, you can own it even whilst you pay for it gradually. If it happens in the US, happens in other European countries, why not here? If it can be done there, why not? We are open to do it here.
I mean, and you hit the nail on the head. Why not here?
Yeah.
And we were having a similar conversation just yesterday. And I said, as the tracking, you go into a community, say in Germany, you go into a community, you need to register that you move into this community. They need to give you an address so that when anybody is looking, before you even open an account. So for SME owners as we are, I said it's easy to start a business here because some of these things are not there. So you can wake up today and say it's only in Ghana that you cook jollof today and it's nice. You wake up tomorrow, you can decide that you want to sell the rest by the roadside because you couldn't eat all. So these are opportunities that are there, but they are also challenges for us, especially those of us who find ourselves in the finance space.
That's true.
So what can government at the central level, at the local level do to help us? Because for me, I think that traceability is a big problem for us here in Ghana.
Okay, I think when it comes to the issue of data, we having the right data is very important, and our credit bureaus are doing something, but I think we can do a bit more to be able to track people. It's very common to see people who take you are sending mobile money to someone, the person goes like, oh no, don't send it to this number, I have another number. Then you know that he owes.
Yeah.
So why are you running away from paying your debt? I don't know why people run away from paying their debt. If you owe, just pay. And these things all bring about mistrust in the system. So if we have data of the right people, it's able to track this in the credit bureaus as well. You're able to, and the information should be accessible to institutions that are onboarded in there. That actually helps. And these days with Momo, it's very easy to track. But if you are not even paying your Momo loan, is it rent that you will pay?
Yeah, you don't
you
pay
understand?
Momo loan.
You're not paying the Momo loan. Is it that 300 or 400 you're not paying? So that one, you are building a character there. And people do this and then they just take it for granted. People say, oh, I'll throw the SIM away and
buy a new one.
So I think we should build a digital character for people when it comes to some of these things. So that is where I think government needs to come in.
All right.
So that we're able to work together as institutions. So you do this business, you're able to upload your data there. We also do ours. We're able to upload our data in there.
Sync both.
And then we sync both data. We're able to check out on each person. Then we know that this person took this and then he probably paid on time. He defaulted by 1 day. This person, he didn't pay at all. And this is his character when it comes to repayment. Then it helps to inform us. In the end, we get to protect businesses as well.
That's true.
So having the right data is so important. And I think we have a lot of data that we are also not using well in this country, which I think if we're able to adjust it well can really help. And I think the rent control, let me just say kudos to the rent control. I see them doing some very good job these days.
Yeah, the new boss.
We getting the right data there, getting right info from the landlords will really help us to be able to turn around the whole space, because this is a national issue and I believe that there's a solution to it.
You know, we are all young people trying to make an impact, put food on the table, and also make sure that the people after us don't go through the same thing that we went through.
True.
Having done this since you finished school and having worked, and now you call yourself an entrepreneur, you're running your own gig, you have a co-founder, what lessons can you share with anybody out there who is in school thinking that I want to come out and get a job? I say that not everybody wants to die for their country, but in Africa, being in the army means that you only get, it's either you do something bad, they sack you, or you die, you go on, or you die, or you go on retirement with it. So it's not that we are happy chasing after government jobs. It's just because the jobs are not there.
Yeah.
And we can, if every Renmo can grow and say have a branch in Kumasi, it means they're going to employ more people. But now that we are all this small, what can we do to have people like us coming in from the university and say, okay, I can also solve a problem in my own small corner?
All right. So I always say this, you must always believe much bigger and much faster. When you find an idea, don't see the idea to be so big. Believe in that idea and then grow it, and it will become something really big. If you look at most of these Fortune 500 companies that we had, they all started small. None of them just started out big.
Yeah.
And they had huge challenges. I was reading about some of them and I was shocked. Some of them were virtually collapsing.
Yeah.
But today, they've been able to turn around.
Yeah.
So we have to take our destiny into our own hands. I keep saying this.
Yeah.
And I always say this, it's not your boss's job to pay you to be rich. It's your own job to pay yourself to be rich. I'm not saying don't do a job, but it's not your boss's job to pay you to be rich. Yeah. That job is your own job to do.
Yeah.
No one owes you a job. That's the first thing you need to do. You need to know. Sometimes people come out from school and they go like, well, I'm applying for this. Whilst you're applying for it, have you tried a sales job? As I did. You build a lot of skills there. But it's interesting that people are just waiting to get these white collar jobs to sit in an office and all that. And these days, trust me, even in the offices, we don't do much.
No.
When you stay home with your laptop and stuff, there's so much you can do that will amaze you.
Yeah.
So for us, even at Renmo, we run a hybrid system. We don't come to work every day.
All right.
We have that hybrid system. So people should believe in themselves and then know that whatever they put their mind to, they can actually do it, and not believe that they can, when they put hopes on someone else, that is what will actually help them to become better. There's so much that can be done. And there's no business that is stupid. Once it is solving a real problem, you are good to go. So yes, so these are just my thoughts. Yeah.
I think I have always said that to make money, you need to solve a problem.
Exactly.
And in some cases, you need money to solve the problem. Sometimes we are scared of sharing our ideas. We think that somebody's going to steal it. Say you're probably not the first person who have thought of it.
I agree.
So partnership is one in our space, because raising capital might not be difficult, but it's still difficult because you don't have what it takes to get the money if you are really small.
That's true.
Thank you very much, Raymond, for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that since we are in the same space, paths to cross again, and we'll see all the amazing stuff that you're
Sure.
doing as a company.
It's been a great pleasure.
All right.
Thank you.
Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you too.